Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a viewer replay courtesy of Flying Elite, who at this point I think I can call my Asia server correspondent because I've featured a couple of replays from them over the years. He's in a very rare tank indeed, the T-44-122, and if you have no idea what that is, don't worry, I didn't either until I looked it up. Now, as the name suggests, yes, it is a T-44 with a 122mm gun, but it is not, as you might have noticed, a Tier 7 version of the Tier 8 T-44 equipped with a 122mm gun. But there are some caveats. In fact, there's quite a few caveats to go along with that. So the first is that it has limited matchmaking, which is a massive, massive boon to any premium tank. And the fact that this particular premium tank is the only Tier 7 medium that has a 122mm gun, and with the limited matchmaking on top of that, then yeah, that's a really powerful combination. Compared to the regular T-44, however, this thing is certainly weaker. I mean, we're still talking a limited matchmaking Tier 7 with a 122mm gun, but at least it's not a Tier 8 medium tank just copied down a tier. For one thing, the armour is a fair bit weaker. You might notice actually, it's maybe not so obvious from the back, but the turret is a different shape, and the front of the hull looks a bit different from the T-44 we're used to as well. It's thinner armour, and maybe with the hull it's not such a big difference, but with the turret especially, it is considerably weaker on the front, so it's a rather squashier machine. It's a much more fragile experience looking at it than the normal T-44 is, which is a reasonably armoured Tier 8 medium, although with the amount you get down tiered, of course, it often feels like that armour doesn't actually matter. In most other regards, it is also rather worse. With that different turret, you actually get less gun depression than the regular T-44 with the 122. It's actually 4 degrees, which is pretty hideous, although doesn't matter so much on the Paris map here because it's a city map. It's got a worse engine, it's got a worse reverse speed, it's got worse view range, it's got obviously worse health because it's a Tier 7, I don't know why I said that. It has a worse DPM, not by a huge amount, but you know, it's worse. Slightly worse aim time, slightly worse dispersion, and considerably worse bloom when on the move and traversing the hull. So this is not a machine where you want to fire on the move, and that's true for the Tier 8 T-44 with this gun, but it's even more true for this thing. But really, you know, all of that compared to the fact that you get to be the Tier 7 with the biggest gun in basically any match you're in, it still feels like it's a pretty strong set of stats overall. 1500 DPM base is not bad. It is definitely not bad. Actually, I don't know if that is the base DPM. I can't remember if tanks.gg displays the base DPM on the... I know you can set it on the comparison page, but I don't know if it shows it on the actual tank stat pages, the individual ones. It's a long reload though. I mean, for a medium tank it is a long reload, but it's a long reload with a big punch behind it. So as long as you can use cover, which is exactly what Flying Elite is trying to do, between shots and rely on your allies a bit, then it's fine. But I'm sure there are going to be plenty of circumstances where that's not going to be the case and you're left struggling because you just cannot reload in time. It's not the only medium tank that can have that experience, but I don't think there's really anything else at this tier except maybe some of the other tanks that can mount derp guns like the KB-13 and the T-43, which also have quite a long reload, but you know, they're not this at all. So he's helped out of that corner, although they haven't won it yet significantly, but he clearly figures there are enough of his own tanks and he's done enough damage that he's going to try and flank, use the mobility, which is still not bad. But this plan is not going to quite work out, as you'll see. Now, he's being a little bit cautious, and that is, as it turns out, entirely wise, because there's a Type 59 there, who he easily punches through the lower front plate of with the APCR. And you'll notice he is packing all APCR. But my guess is that, coupled with the food, coupled with the 2 gun marks, means that Flying Elite is probably trying to go for the 3rd gun mark on that one. I don't think it requires any great stretch of the imagination to think that's what's going on. So, yeah, he tries to go for another shot at the Type 59, and it's a bad trade because the Type is able to just sit there and be aimed at that corner. And as I've said, this gun is not a gun for snapshotting. And then as he's trying to retreat, he takes yet more damage from that Hellcat back there. So it all went a bit pear-shaped. It was a good idea in theory to try and flank round, but it really did not work out. And now he's down to being quite low health indeed. And as you'll note, his armour hasn't bounced anything at all so far. So yeah, it's just hit points he's got, and he's starting to run out of those. So he's come south significantly, or not south, north rather than go and help out his allies south, where the Type 59 is doing exactly what he was trying to do. But I mean, both flanks need help at this point, so I'm not sure you could call either of them the wrong thing to do. If you hadn't killed the A44, the SU-100 would probably be in trouble, and there is still a P-43 around here as well, who turns out to be extremely low health, and fortunately he makes that shot, because if the P-43 had had a chance to shoot him, I'm pretty sure that's got like a 90mm gun, right? I'm pretty sure that would have been in with a chance of killing him with one shot when he's at this amount of health. So another missed shot there. That was more of an aimed one, unfortunately, as well. You can't afford to miss too many shots with this tank, but sometimes RNG is what it is. And there's another one, but again, it was made in a bit of haste because that Hellcat is coming in for his ally, and well, he doesn't have a lot of them left at this point, so he was really trying to get the shot in. But as it is, that Hellcat completely fluffed that attack, steamed in against the SU-100 and actually failed to land a hit. So we've skipped forward about 30 seconds, and you can see they have split up at this point. The SU-100 covering that approach to the cap, and Flying Elite is trying to once again use that mobility and come out from an unexpected direction. There was also a T-150 before the jump, but yeah, they were the last thing left down on that southern heavy corner, and so they just got mobbed by the remaining enemy tanks. So the VK got spotted without him spotting it in return, but when he pops out to maybe try and get the kill, yeah, there's the Oni. That wasn't such a nice discovery, so he's going to back off. There's no way he can do anything. There's no way his shields can repel firepower of that magnitude. There we go, that's the quote I'm looking for. So he goes to join the SU-100, discovers the T-44-122, and there's that Alpha coming in, extremely useful. Another quite a lucky shot, so he's kind of getting away with it. The food obviously helps, and I imagine he's got a good crew in it as well. But even so, you know, it's not going to be a reliable gun if you're doing that all the time. Now he gets a bit lucky there. He pops out, gets spotted and shot at by the VK, but does not spot them in return, which is slightly weird, unless the VK was just... I don't know, if the VK was angled out enough to spot with one of the spotting points on his tank, that then surely would have been spotted by Flying Elite's tank, but no, the spotting system was being a bit weird there, so I don't exactly know what happened, but fortunately it just went in his tracks. So 2 versus 2, and the situation is everybody is a one-shot for everybody else, because of course his SU-100 ally is packing the exact same gun. And although the VK has the least amount of punch of all of them, it's still potentially enough to kill Flying Elite, and it's definitely enough to kill that SU-100. Really, the most dangerous tank here, though, is that Oni. From, you know, his team's point of view. And what he wants, even with APCR loaded, is for side armour, not even rear armour really with the Oni. He wants side armour or side and rear of the turret, essentially. So he has to get the drop on this Oni, and he also needs the cooperation of this SU-100. But although he does type various things to the SU-100 in the chat, they never actually respond. So we don't know if the SU-100 is understanding and just not replying, or as this is the Asia server, there's a very good chance they don't understand what Flying Elite is saying, and it's just, maybe kind of working out in that they're reacting to each other's moves. So fortunately the SU-100 did not die to the VK, but the fact that the VK wasn't pushing around tells us maybe the Oni isn't right behind him, and so although that was a slightly risky move, just going for it, there's a somewhat limited amount of time left, and that now leaves the Oni isolated. So you can see in the chat there he is asking for the Radley Walters because he's got 7 kills, and we'll see if the SU-100 obliges. And he's being a little bit, he's maybe got the best chance of killing this Oni here, so he's letting the SU-100 go around, distract the Oni, and that was enough to get the side of the turret to shoot at. And with that, they have won. But still, that was quite a tense ending, and it maybe didn't need to be quite that tense. Although, even if Flying Elite had gone into that end game with more health, it probably still wouldn't have been enough health to have guaranteed surviving a hit from an Oni. But as it was, because he was packing that 122mm gun, and because he managed to hit a reasonable number of shots, and because he had the help of that SU-100, he was able to make that a win. Although, as you can see, he did by far the most damage on his team. So, as I say, it's definitely not just a regular T-44 at tier 7, but even so, it seems like it has some serious advantages going for it. So it's probably a good thing that it is quite so rare. So that was a reasonably interesting match, I thought, and I don't think I've featured that tank before, although I should point out it's not new. It's been in the game since at least 2016, and I think it is just the fact that so few people have it that means that you just really don't see replays of it being submitted very often. But however Flying Elite managed to get one, well, I can only say thank you for sending that one in, because it was interesting in several different ways, I thought. So hopefully you enjoyed that game, and if you did, you can do all the usual things down under the video, and as always, stay tuned for more.